Numbers almost cut in half from just about 3 years ago. Yet residents still say they do not feel safe because of quality of life crimes and juvenile repeat offenders.
Joining us now to explain his successes and frustrations since taking the City State's Attorney's office more than a little more than 2 years ago, we have City State's Attorney Ivan Bates joining us. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. Good morning. How are you two doing?
We're good. So we want to dive into some local things, but let's start with what's making national news. Baltimore is in the national spotlight. The president has some pretty derogatory things to say about Baltimore and is threatening to send in the National Guard the way he's done in D.C., about to do in Chicago. Does Baltimore need the National Guard? And what would that look like for you in your crime fight?
You know, it's funny. For me, I look at it like this. I try to let the politicians focus on politics, and I have to focus on my job. You know, if the president does send the National Guard in and they make cases, then my office has to prosecute. So I try not to really get involved in that because those individuals could eventually be our witnesses. I just think that for us, everybody needs to get on the same page. We need to work together for the betterment of Baltimore City and all the residents.
Do you think, though, the attention between Governor Moore and Trump here going back and forth, do you think, though, that is shedding some kind of a positive light? At least it's getting some kind of attention, and the work that your office has done is now getting some attention when people start looking at statistics?
Well, I think that it's positive from the sense that, yes, we're looking at what's going on. We're understanding the statistics, and we recognize that it's not a magic pill that we've all of a sudden decided to take in Baltimore, but it's real hard work with the men and women of Baltimore City Police Department, other agencies making their arrest, our office sitting there holding them accountable, sending them to prison, the repeat violent offenders, and also you have to give credit to some of the programs the mayor has as well. So everybody working together collaboratively to make that change.
Let's start. You have your some stats here, some graphs. Your strategy when you came into office was to go after repeat violent offenders. Yes. You've done that. You've done more prosecutions and sent people away than your predecessor. What does that look like? What are the numbers showing?
Well, yeah, it's pretty simple. Remember a few years ago before I took office, when the mayor first took office, he always said his police were making arrests, the police were making arrests. They were making arrests on repeat violent offenders with guns. Remember, I talked about that, bring a toothbrush. So the first 2 years before I got there, the police made around 2,200 arrests on gun offenders. My first 2 years, they made around 2,400. But the big change was this. With all the cases in terms of the state's attorney's office and working with the U.S. attorney's office, they only sent in those 2 years 1,038 of those individuals to prison. Repeat violent offenders, they were sending them back home. And with my tenure, we've sent over 2,000, almost 2,200 repeat violent offenders the first 2 years to prison. These are individuals who were repeat violent offenders. These are individuals who are shooting, the killings. They were sometimes the victims of that as well. Now we're about 2,500 repeat violent offenders. But what does that mean? We figured there are about 5,000 to 6,000 repeat violent offenders causing a crime. If we've taken out half of them and sent them to jail, then of course they're no longer the victims or the shooters, so you're going to naturally see the great decrease in the violent crime, in the murder numbers, because they're not there to shoot or to be killed.
Well, let me follow up with that, though. So we have seen numbers come down drastically between your efforts, the mayor's efforts, but we are still seeing also the reports, and the president likes to talk about it, that Baltimore is still the fourth most deadly city. So how do you reconcile those two realities? We're making progress, but we're still at this point.
Well, 1,000%. We are making progress, and I always say we need to walk and chew gum at the same time. Quality of life is out of control in Baltimore City, and the residents and citizens are suffering. Look at Federal Hill. Look at Fells Point. Look at the overdoses that we had at North and Penn. Let's look at the shooting at Park Heights. It's all around the city. So what we need to do is say, okay, we've done a good job. It's halftime. We've done a good job. We're up. But we have so much more work to do. And we need to now, the same focus that we put into the earlier driving the violent crime down, we need to do a quality of life. Look at the citation docket. We've had a citation docket for almost 3 years. In 3 years, they've written 1,000 citations, but Baltimore City Police Department's only written 300. We could do so much more if we focused on quality of life. People leave Baltimore City and don't want to come into Baltimore City because of the quality of life. We need to focus on that.
Let's go back to the statistics, though. I mean, when you're talking about, is it you? Is it your message going down into the City State's Attorney's Prosecution office? Do you have more help? Or are you telling your prosecutors to, I guess, attack this way, a different angle than what we had from your predecessor?
Well, it's all of that. One of the things that we were able to do, Governor Moore gave us $2 million. He'd taken that money from the state's attorney. We put that in victim witness. We have 257 homicide convictions as opposed, 275 as opposed to 159 in the previous administration. Our victim witness is getting victims and witness to be safe. We're moving them right away. They're there to testify. We've also looked at the way in which you hold violent offenders accountable. We have policy. The policy says if you're a repeat violent offender, we're asking for the 5 years without the possibility of parole.
Are police doing anything different, though, to help you then with these prosecutions? Have they changed the way that they do arrests? Has the city police department changed any ways since you've taken office?
I would say we have better communication. Better communication. We've trained better prosecutors. My past background of being a criminal defense attorney, I let everybody know the tricks of the trade, and now we're able to have better cases, better communication, better team effort.
You say we're at we're at halftime, and we need to do better in the third and fourth quarters coming up. A lot of people say, I'm hearing you all say we're safer. I don't feel safer. We've got a lot of juveniles running around, and they're doing a lot of things that put our lives and our property in danger. So how do we turn that part around? How do we get to halftime on juvenile crime?
I agree. Look, your perception, everybody's perception is reality. And people, when I go to community meetings, they're telling me they don't feel safer. I was in Federal Hill about a month and a half ago. They don't feel safer. 30-some, 40-some cars broken into. We have to do is work closer with DJS. One of the things we talked about was change the law and change the rules. Two things I would like to see DJS do. Number one, anytime a parent signs out or a guardian signs out their child, the youth, there needs to be a paragraph when you sign them out that says, look, if they abscond, if they don't follow parole or probation, if they cut off their ankle bracelet or they're gone, you, the parent, are obligated to call DJS immediately so that the court knows what's going on. Then we also, I'd love to see us go back to the way it used to be. DJS is the gatekeeper. We no longer should have them as the gatekeeper. Okay. Let it go back to the court. So when a young person is arrested, DJS isn't deciding to release them. Let the court, that judge that we elect, let them make that decision so we know who to point our finger at to hold them accountable.
And that came out of Annapolis, so that's a change that has to happen in Annapolis?
It is. That's a change with Annapolis.
One last question for you then.
Or potentially DJS could make that change to change their policy if they wanted to.
Okay, so then it goes back in DJS's lap without going to Annapolis for that.
Yes.
One other thing, you've been showing us a lot of stats. You've been showing about statistics here. We've been talking about the different programs. In fact, you even said it. The mayor has had some great programs here under the Monzi umbrella. One of them is Safe Streets. One thing that I've heard you say, and you said this on WBAL radio just I think yesterday morning, you were talking about we don't have the stats. We don't know how Safe Streets is doing. You didn't say you really knocked it. You just said you have no idea how to interpret if they're doing well or not. Can you explain that real quickly?
Well, yeah, I view them in terms of incomplete. Monzi's support. We know that Monzi's given services to 256 individuals. GVRS, we know my office since 2022, before I got there, we've only prosecuted 500 cases. It's 4% of our caseload.
Gun violence reduction strategy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's 4% of our caseload. So we see it's a small amount compared to what we've done. So that means so much is on the hands and shoulders of Safe Streets. We have other organizations that focus on young people, but the violent repeat offenders were the adults. Safe Streets, I don't know what they're doing. I mean, the concept where you have reformed criminals talking to current criminals to say, drop the guns. What does that look like? We don't know how to reach.
Sounds good, though.
It sounds good,
like a good policy.
But we can't go by on sounding good. I don't make decisions based on what sounds good. I make decisions based on the data. For instance, with Safe Streets, how does one individual reach another individual if they want to have a mediation? How many mediations have Safe Streets done? How many interventions have they done? There are other programs like this. There's one in New York. What they do is they go to roll calls with the police. They go to CompStat with the police. We all know who Safe Streets should be. We don't know this information. If we don't know this information, how can we adequately judge this information to know what's working and what's not working? It's mysterious. We can't have that mystery in the criminal justice system.
We are running out of time. I know you're doing a lot of work as it relates to crime in Baltimore, also doing work in the community. I want to give you 20 seconds to talk about a back-to-school event you have.
This Saturday, we have a back-to-school event right there at 1400 North Avenue on the east side of town where the courthouse is. We're giving book bags to the children of Baltimore City and all the other children. Come on through, get your book bag, sit down, have a good time, and we want to show that we're also part of the community, not just putting you in jail, but doing the right things to hope for these young people.
free entertainment, free food, free drink. That's why I saw all over that, that banner right there. There's a lot of free, so that's great.
A lot of free.
All right, City State's Attorney Ivan Bates, thank you so much.
Thank you.
7:55 is the time. We'll be right back.